Okay, quick coding video. This one's all about file handling. Question 1. Write an algorithm that opens a file name, data.txt, writes the text test into it, and then closes the file. 3 marks. Have a go yourself, pause it, and let me do it myself. Okay, so we all start with a variable, file equals open. We're going to call it data in speech marks, .txt, and we're going to write to a file, so we use the W code, file.write text, notice test is what it asks us, and we should always close it. If we don't close it, press play, it gives us an error. Even though it works, you should always close the file. Just a warning there, file dot close, and done. 3 marks. Open a file, W, write, close. That will give us plenty of the bullet points for getting that correct. Next question, write an algorithm that opens an existing file called source.txt. We don't have one there, but I can. And we've got a file right there now, magically popped up for us just for testing purposes. So we're going to delete this code, and what we need to do is open the file equals open, and we're going to use the same exact name, .txt. And this time we're going to read, so the code is R just for reading, file dot readline. So it says read the first line into a variable name. So we're going to do first score capital S equals file dot read line, stores it inside first score, and then close the file. And that's it. That will give us the marks we need for this. We've opened it for reading, we stored it, we read the first line, stored it inside the first score, and we closed the file. That is all that is asking for us. But to test it, let's just do print first score 59, and it read the first number. Perfect. That is exactly what the question is asking us to do. Next, a player gets a high score of 95. Write an algorithm to append the score to the end of a file named highscore.txt. So we don't have highscore.txt, we're just going to use score.txt instead. So let's append to that instead. The question asks us for high scores, but we don't have it. To save time, I'm just going to use the file that we do have, scores.txt instead. So we're going to open that file up again. File equals open, and we need scores.txt, and this time we want to append to it, so we use the code A. So in Python, to add to a file without overwriting it, W deletes everything in the file already, and A adds to a file. So we're going to do my file. So sorry, file dot write. We're going to put 95, and let's see what happens. Press play, and it stores 95 at the bottom. Now, issue we're going to come across is if we do play again and add it again, add 95 next to it. So we use a special command called /n to always write to a new line. So /end, and now the next one's going to be on the new line. So always add a /n at the end of your code. And there we go. Player gets a high score of 95. Write an algorithm to append the score 95 to the end of the file, which we have, end of the file. And the file name is highscores.txt. We did a bit of a cheat, and we, to save time, I did scores.txt. So that question is done. Next question, write an algorithm that creates a named log file.txt and uses a for loop to write 1 to 5 in separate lines. So let's delete this file. Delete. Maybe this way it's fine for this method. So let's have it side by side. File equals open. Speech marks log.txt, and we're going to be writing, so w. So we want to use a for loop for x in range 0, so 1 to 6. It will stop us before it hits 6, and we want to do file dot write, and there's going to be an issue here. Let's see what happens, and we're going to close the file. Let's see what the issue is. Press play, and 1 2 3 4 5. And if we remember what we learned before, we want to append, we're going to add to underneath into a new line. We need to add a /n, but that's not going to work because that's not text, it's a number. You get a syntax error. So we should add the +n as a text, and that's still not going to work because we can't concatenate an integer, which is x, and a string. So what do, which we've done in previous video, we're going to cast it into a string. Now we can combine it together, and voila, 1 2 3 4 5 in the file, exactly what it's asked us to do. In Python, we've had to do the /n, and we've casted it into a string. So remember, casting means to convert one type variable to another, and very useful for something like this. And that's question 4 done. Last question, write an algorithm that opens names.txt and uses a while loop to read the output of each line of the file until the end of the file is reached. Okay, but we don't have a named.txt, but 3 2 1. In Magic, there's a file ready for us to use. So we've got 3 names there, and the question asks to use a while loop to read each one and output each line of the file until its end is reached. Okay, so we're going to use a while loop. I'll also demonstrate how to do it in a for loop as well. So let's file equals open names.txt. We're going to be reading, so it's R. So we're going to use, let's read the first line first. Let's call it line equals file dot read line, while file line. What this tells us, while there is some content inside the line, we're going to print that line. Let's see what happens there. It will be an infinite loop, and we're going to stop. Okay, so we're going to actually, instead of letting it get stuck on an infinite loop, we're going to do line equals file dot read line. What that will do is read each line until it stops. It reads the first line while there's something being in there. Print that line, read the next line, and when it hits the end, it will exit. Now it's given us a warning to close the file. The line, file dot close. Now no error, but as you can see, there's massive gaps between our lines. So what we need to do here is before we print, we can do dot strip, and that gets rid of unnecessary spaces right here. So in our file, we've got an actual empty line there. That's why we've got an empty line here. But that's it. So dot strip gets rid of the error messages, the empty space, sorry, and file dot close the file without any error messages. We read the file and we print out and remove any unnecessary spaces. That's what the question asks. Now, I did also say we're going to use a for loop for line in file, print line, file dot close, and that does exactly the same thing, prints all three names, but we can use again the strip function to clean it up, no spaces, and that's how you do it if it was a for loop question. And that's the end of this video.